Hey guys, tonight we're drifting into a story unlike anything measured by ticking clocks or shifting shadows. You'll walk across a world where the sun sets backward, the breeze hums with forgotten lullabies, and the artists don't use paint, they use time. Your footsteps will echo before you land, your shadow might disobey you, and your reflection may whisper something you haven't done yet. Oh, and one quick note, you probably won't survive this. But don't worry, almost no one does, and that's considered a sign of good manners on this particular planet. Your shuttle makes landfall with a sigh and exhale of ion steam across the rocky surface of the Cronoswell Basin. No atmosphere as you know it, yet your lungs adjust. This place adapts to you before you realize what you need. The world beneath your feet is scorched pearl in color, like bleached bone soaked in moonlight. The ground hums slightly, vibrating with what could be geological activity, or laughter, or a heartbeat that doesn't belong to any living thing. You step down the ramp. Gravity is soft here. Not low, just soft, like walking across a sponge soaked in yesterday's rain. Your boots leave impressions that fill themselves with ghostly reflections of what you might have looked like 5 minutes ago. Across the plain, waterfalls flow in reverse rivers, spiraling upward into the sky like liquid stardust being inhaled by unseen lungs. No clouds, no birds. Just vertical currents of shimmering time fluid, folding against the violet atmosphere in slow, reluctant spirals. You blink once and find the sun has doubled. Blink again and one is gone. The air carries a scent you can't name, except to say it smells like the sound of memory sweet and slightly metallic, like dried fruit stored next to an old radio. You follow a path that isn't there, but feels insistent, as though your bones remember it before your eyes can see. Your guidance system has shut down entirely. Not broken, just irrelevant. A metallic voice from your ship's emergency override crackles softly behind you. Reminder: due to unstable chronometric conditions, all personal timelines may experience light flaring, narrative interruptions, or full mythological disassociation. Please do not attempt to define causality. You nod politely. As you continue across the basin, you notice movement on the horizon, something transparent but heavy, like a jellyfish sculpted from glass and forgotten regrets. It pulses in irregular rhythms, trailing strands that paint the air behind it in faint shimmer trails. You watch as one of those trails solidifies into a moment, a boy catching a snowflake, somewhere far away or possibly never. You pass a cracked monument with no markings, but the base reads in 6 dialects, for those who drew with time and blurred the shape of endings. Beside it, an old vending pod still functional offers an option labeled past water. You decline. Something like a wind rolls in, not through the air, but through your sense of when. For a second, your limbs feel heavier, then lighter, then younger. You try to check your pulse, but realize your wrist is slightly ahead of you, trembling as if it's remembering a future tremor, and then the basin reveals its core. You crest a shallow rise and find the Cronoswell itself, a perfectly circular depression, wide as a stadium, sunk into the ground like a thumbprint in velvet. At its center, a column of reverse-flowing fluid hovers, not touching earth or sky, spiraling in deliberate suspension. The well is not water, not gas, not even energy. It is unresolved time, visibly flowing upward, looping back, changing color depending on how you feel about your 3rd birthday. It flickers once, and you see yourself walking toward it. Not just a reflection, not just a vision. Another you, arriving before you do. Here sheer you waves briefly and vanishes. Behind the well, strange structures rise like coral made from clock parts. Alien towers, spiraled with antennae that twitch subtly, as though listening to something silent. Their outer surfaces are etched with glyphs that resemble braille made for whales, or perhaps a long-lost symphony written in gravity waves. You walk closer. At the rim of the Cronoswell, the air becomes tense, not threatening, just aware. the way a room feels when you know someone else just entered. Then it happens. Your own shadow hesitates. You move forward and the shadow doesn't follow. It stays behind, unsure, flickering like it's deciding whether to continue existing. It eventually snaps to you again, but wrong-footed, like a mirror trying to lie. You hear a voice, not out loud, inside your chest. Observe, do not define. All true art requires forgetting the order of things. You inhale, and the chronoswell inhales with you. For the first time, you feel it in your spine. This planet doesn't mark time in hours or rotations. Here, time is a raw material, fluid, layered. It can be brushed, carved, poured, reversed, and something is using it to create. A slow realization begins to settle in your body like warm fog. You are not just visiting this world. You are already part of something being painted. You look up. The sky above the chronoswell basin is not empty, but it is not quite present either. Its color flickers between antique copper and melted lapis, like a hologram struggling to stay faithful to the original universe. You squint and realize the clouds aren't drifting, they're hesitating, as if unsure whether forward in time still applies. The stars, oddly enough, are visible in daylight. Not twinkling, just watching. Your suit's chronofilter attempts to compensate. A warning message flashes across your visor. Caution, this region contains chronostatic irregularities. Do not trust shadows. Do not listen to clocks. You deactivate it. Instead, you open your senses and walk barefoot across the basin's perimeter, where fine white grains drift gently like frozen snowflakes that refuse to land. With every step, you hear not crunching, but soft whisper snippets of long-forgotten conversations, maybe yours, maybe not. Eventually, you reach a hill marked by thin obsidian reeds. They shimmer slightly, swaying even though there's no wind. You touch one. The moment your fingers make contact, a vivid burst of memory floods your mind. A meal you never ate, with friends you haven't met, laughing about a joke you didn't tell. Then gone. This is how you know you're close to the Eontide. You don't see them at first. Their bodies are built for wavelengths your eyes don't quite perceive. Instead, you feel them like pressure shifts in deep water, or the heat of a dream just before waking. Then, as your perception acclimates, they slowly come into view. They are tall, slender, and luminous, almost like humanoid sculptures carved from translucent, breathing crystal. Their joints shimmer with motes of moving color, and their faces, well, they don't really have faces. But each one feels familiar in a deeply unsettling way. You realize you've already met them, or will meet them, or are one of them, one approaches. Their movement is slow, elegant, and not entirely anchored in time. They step forward and leave after images of themselves, one arriving, one just arriving, one already gone. They do not speak. Instead, they offer you an object, a flat oval sheet, faintly glowing, thin as memory. The moment you touch it, your surroundings shift. You're standing on a balcony high above the basin, though you never climbed. You're watching the Eontide paint, and they are painting with time. There are no brushes, only gestures. With every movement of their hands, great loops of light and distortion ripple through the air. Entire days bloom in reverse, memories flutter like silk across the wind, and long extinct birds cry out from temporal mirages. Their tools are strands of before and after, woven together into murals that don't live on walls, but in the space between seconds. You gasp softly as one of them paints a field of grass that ages and withers in a spiral outward, then renews itself in the center, trapped in a living loop. Another creates a floating child, endlessly falling upward with joy, tears suspended in midair for eternity. Each work is alive in its own way, dynamic, shimmering, impossible. One Eontide turns to you not visually, but in some felt access of awareness and gestures at a mural of an enormous door opening slowly across a decade of elapsed time. You instinctively understand this is not just art, it is record. They are painting history not in visual form, but through temporal resonance, and not all the paintings are peaceful. In a nearby ripple of memory vapor, you glimpse what looks like war, giant machines collapsing inward before they were built, soldiers dissolving into infants, fire raining upward. You look away. Some timelines should remain smeared. You hear, without hearing. A series of delicate chimes rings out in the air-real physical sound now, and the eontide begin to fade. One by one, they recede from your view, returning to their native phase of being. You're alone again. Well, mostly. Your visor pings. Note, ambient chronotemperature is rising. You are approaching a zone of anticipatory entropy. Expect brief emotional bleed. You exhale. You feel homesick for a future you haven't lived. The sensation sits in your chest like a warm ache. Your feet carry you forward without choice, drawn toward the heart of this alien basin, where time no longer behaves and meaning must be negotiated, not discovered. You reach a smooth incline white sand melting into spirals of opalescent dust, and at its peak, you see them, a set of structures rising from the far end of the basin like giant petrified flowers, their petals carved from event horizons. These are the dwellings of the eontide, or perhaps their studios. Or their graves, you can't tell. There are no doors. Only openings shaped like questions. As you approach, you hear something breathing. It might be the buildings, or you, or your shadow. You look down. Your shadow is gone again. The dwellings rise like fossils of questions never asked. You step closer to the nearest one. Its outer surface shimmers with slow shifting runes, like thoughts caught mid-formation. As you approach, the opening adjusts, not physically, but temporally, aligning itself to the moment you feel most curious. You hesitate, and for a blink, the doorway disappears. You step forward, and it returns. Inside, the temperature is soft. That's the only way you can describe it, not warm, not cold, but gentle, like a childhood memory cradled in velvet. The room is circular, walls lined with shelves that grow from the stone, each shelf containing objects that breathe. Some are jars filled with glimmering fog. Others are slices of time frozen in crystal. One holds a still beating heart. Another, a broken teacup that seems to reassemble and shatter again every few seconds. No one greets you, or rather, no one is greeting you yet. Then you see it, a figure curled against the far wall, enshrouded in layered garments that don't follow gravity. Their cloak moves upward while they remain still, as though held down by history. A tall glass-like mask covers their face, etched with orbit patterns and shifting tides. This is the silent archivist. You've heard rumors that the archivist collects memories not through observation, but through osmosis absorbing echoes of those who passed nearby. They do not speak, for their voice contains too many futures. You step closer, the archivist raises one hand. Floating above their palm is a small vial glass, yes, but glowing from the inside with something more alive than light. It hums gently like an insect dreaming. They offer it without words. You take it. The moment you do, a flood of sensation hits you, not images, not thoughts, but the weight of a possibility. This vial contains pre-memory, a memory of something that hasn't happened yet, but could. You feel it press against your soul like a suggestion, waiting to be painted into existence. The archivist gestures toward the rear wall, where a crack glows faintly with oscillating hues colors that belong to no known spectrum. You follow, ducking into a corridor that curves unnaturally, as if trying to avoid being mapped. The passage leads downward. As you descend, your footsteps no longer echo. Instead, they leave behind faint traces of laughter, your own, but younger. The air grows heavier with unspoken dreams. You arrive at a chamber larger than the other's octagonal, its walls covered in looping calligraphy that pulses slightly as you pass. The ceiling is a slow-turning prism, refracting glimpses of places you've never been, a forest that breathes, a moon that sings, a city built from folded time. In the center of the room is a pedestal, floating above it, a map, but not of space. Of now, a living, fluid representation of the present moment, shifting constantly as awareness passes through it. The vial in your hand pulses. Suddenly, from the periphery of your vision, something sharp moves, a flicker, a whisper of movement. You whirl, but nothing's there. Or someone almost is. You see traces of presence. A pressure in the floor, a suggestion in the dust. A shadow that belongs to no object. Whatever it is, it doesn't feel hostile, just misplaced. And then the voice comes. A soft whisper from behind your ears, curling around your thoughts like smoke. If you are not the first to hold this vial, are you the last? You turn again, still nothing. You place the vial onto the map. Instantly, the room responds. The walls contract slightly, the ceiling slows its spin, and in the fluid map, a location emerges drawn not in lines, but in expectation. The now-forged spire, it's distant. Across the basin, through the fog-veiled temporal fields and memory-full valleys. A place where timelines are forged, bent, and rejoined. The Eontide do not go there often. It is said to be a place of decisions, and decisions are feared here. A final note appears beneath the map, written in your own handwriting. When you arrive, do not knock. The spire is always listening. You blink, the note vanishes. Behind you, the archivist is gone. You step out of the dwelling, clutching the vial. Outside, the sky has changed again. It is dusk, but the light is rising. A reversed sunset. The stars are gone now, replaced by something else entirely. Clock flowers, delicate, luminous blooms, spinning slowly in the heavens, each petal marking a different world's calendar. You begin walking. The terrain between you and the spire is not familiar. You know this not because you've been there before, but because it doesn't want you to be. This is territory that resists memory. The ground is marked with waypoints labeled with emotional glyphs. Sorrow, hesitation, courage, hunger. You choose one marked doubt, and the landscape seems to rearrange itself to your uncertainty. You move forward anyway. Behind you, your footprints begin to vanish, one by one. The land forgets you faster than you remember it. You descend through the valley of fading thoughts, where the sky narrows into a tunnel of twilight. The air here is dense not with dust or fog, but with residual possibility. Every step you take spawns a dozen potential futures, each one crumbling into ash the moment you choose to keep walking. Around you, the terrain begins to glitch. Trees phase in and out, some fully formed, others flickering between youth and rot. Rocks age visibly, moss appears, then shrivels, then turns to sand within seconds. A stream curls through the dust like a question mark, flowing backward, then stopping, then surging forward again as if it forgot what direction it liked best. Your suit beeps. Environmental integrity compromised. Local time field shows variance of plus or minus 11 years per meter. Visuals may be unreliable. And indeed, they are. You look ahead and see yourself walking. Not metaphorically. Literally, another version of you, 10 steps forward, making choices you haven't made yet. When you blink, they vanish, but not before nodding at you with subtle encouragement. Or warning. This is the memory-full valley, and even the Eontide avoid it when they can. To them, this place is too raw. It's where time hasn't finished cooking yet. Reality here is undercooked, overmixed, sometimes fermented. As you press on, a figure begins to form from the dust. At first, you think it's another Eontide. But it's not. This one is too short, too wide, and wearing a chef's apron. "Welcome, traveler," the being says with a smile. "Care for a bite of the future?" You blink. The being is real well here, at least. Their name tag reads Chef YOLO, and they hold out a tray of pastries, each one glowing faintly and labeled in elegant script. Regret crumble, yesterday tart, courage souffle. Chef Yola winks. Eat one and you'll remember something that hasn't happened. Or forget something that did. You hesitate, but curiosity wins. You choose the courage souffle. The moment it touches your tongue, you inhale sharply. You're standing in a different valley. The spire looms tall in the distance. You're surrounded by friends you haven't met, wearing armor you didn't know you'd own. You're laughing, bleeding, winning. Then just as fast you're back, the pastry's gone. So is Chef Yolo, and their place is a sign carved into the air, slowly vanishing. All cuisine is time travel. Digest responsibly. You keep walking, the taste of adrenaline still lingering. A few meters ahead, the landscape changes again. The sky dilates, stretching wide, and the color shift yellow becomes blue. Blue turns into audible notes, and those notes begin to sing. Yes, sing. The wind carries a melody, half lullaby, half alarm. It is not for you, but about you. You are being serenaded by a system of weather patterns sentient enough to compose. Your visor struggles to translate. Melodic region, semi-conscious, emotionally aware. Moderate weeping risk, proceed with kindness. You whisper a thank you to the sky. The clouds blush slightly, and then the fog rolls in. Thick, not in texture, but in meaning. Here, everything becomes metaphor. A tree is not a tree, it is persistence. A stone is denial. You feel yourself slipping, not physically, but narratively. For a terrifying second, you forget your own name. Then your species, then the word species. But the vial glows in your pocket, humming faintly, tethering you to one solid truth. You are still walking toward the spire. In the distance, you see it. A thin, impossibly tall spire, spiraling like a strand of DNA made of glass and sorrow. The base glows with memories, the top shimmers with prophecy. The now forge. The place where time is bent, not broken, not healed, just shaped. You keep moving. The valley narrows. Temporal tension increases. You feel it in your joints, your knees clicking with centuries, your teeth remembering things your ancestors bid. Just before the slope ends, you encounter a gate made of nothing but pause. It's not a door, not even a barrier. It's a moment. A deliberate stillness so strong, it halts all sound and motion. You must step through it slowly, not with your body, but your intention. You do, and the world exhales. The air changes. The colors settle. Your reflection returns to your feet. You have exited the memory fold. Ahead, the land flattens into a long obsidian road, leading straight toward the now forged spire. No detours remain. The road is black and still, not dead, just paused. You step onto it, and your weight triggers a soft hum beneath your feet. It doesn't echo, but registers as if the obsidian remembers every footstep and will one day recite them back to the stars. The surface is flawless, impossibly smooth, but does not slip. Each step feels ceremonial. After a few minutes of walking, the sky above begins to glitch. Small fragments of clouds begin rewinding, lightning splitting in reverse, thunder pulled back into silence. The sun flickers between past and future positions, and shadows multiply briefly, casting versions of yourself that are older, younger, missing limbs, or laughing without sound. The spire looms ahead. Up close, it's far taller than your senses are prepared to process. It doesn't just extend upward, it continues. Your eyes try to measure it and fail, sliding off its curves like oil on glass. The base of the spire is ringed with structures shaped like gongs, each slowly spinning with carved script along their rims. You approach one, it rings on its own, with no contact. The tone enters your skull directly. This moment is being archived. Adjust behavior accordingly. Another rings. Visitors may experience emotional mirroring. Disregard unusual affection or regret. And another. The spire is alive. Please do not attempt to name it. It will name you if necessary. You pass through a curtain of violet mist. Inside, you are met not with halls or chambers, but layers. The interior of the spire is folded, stacked, compressed. Space and time have been architected. You step forward, and suddenly you're stepping sideways into a memory you don't recall having. The floor beneath you is transparent, showing versions of you arriving moments later or earlier, or in moods you haven't felt yet. The walls pulse with pulse. That is, they beat not with blood, but with events. You can feel history moving along the surfaces, like warm air brushing your shoulders. There are no guides here, no signs. Only the vial in your hand, glowing more intensely now, pulling your attention toward an incline. As you begin the ascent, the environment responds. A staircase unfolds, not outward, but inward, spiraling down even as it climbs. You step onto it and feel a brief sensation of having just finished the climb already. Your legs ache from an effort you're only now beginning. It's disorienting, but functional. Halfway up, a door-shaped aperture opens beside you, revealing a narrow alcove filled with objects. A child's drawing of a planet with 2 moons, a deflated oxygen mask, a set of gloves sized for a creature with 7 fingers. These are offerings. You don't know to whom or for what, but the energy around them is reverent. You place the courage souffle wrapper beside them. It dissolves into shimmer. At the summit of the staircase is a chamber that doesn't look large, but feels vast. You step into it and stop. The air here is dense with unfinished stories. They cling to your skin like static. Suspended above you are hundreds, maybe thousands of thin glass-like sheets, each one holding a moment that has yet to be decided. You walk beneath them. They vibrate slightly in your presence, and some shimmer with scenes you almost recognize. One shows a child releasing a balloon into an upside-down storm. Another shows you kneeling in snow, clutching something glowing that is also bleeding. A third shows no image, but when you get close, you hear laughter you once loved. The spire is showing you the edges of timelines, where choice begins, but resolution has not yet arrived. Then the voice comes again, same cadence as before, but closer. The vial is not a memory. It is a brush. You look down. The vial no longer glows. It burns. A platform rises beneath you, moving gently upward until you are eye level with a hanging pane. This one is blank. The voice again. Choose what you're about to remember. You hesitate. What would you choose to remember if the memory hadn't happened yet? The platform stops. The vial warms. You lift it, and with the softest pressure, touch the pane. It drinks in the glow like ink to parchment. For a moment, nothing happens. Then the pane floods with color. You see yourself standing at the edge of the Chronoswell Basin, your hands coated in temporal light, painting spirals across the sky. The Eontites around you, watching, silent, their faces unreadable but somehow proud. You realize you have always been part of this mural. Not just now. Always. The platform lowers. The vial is empty, and the chamber gently darkens. You descend from the memory chamber in silence, though silence here has depth. It crackles with former voices, murmurs with half-formed melodies, sways gently with sighs left behind by travelers who never quite completed their stories. The stair beneath you feels different now, not stone, not metal, but something else. It yields slightly underfoot, like memory foam designed for forgotten moments. With each step, you feel your thoughts rearrange themselves into unfamiliar orders, as if trying to anticipate something that hasn't been written yet. The vial is empty, but its warmth still lingers in your palm. You don't know if it's residual heat or some form of gratitude. You tuck it away. As you step back into the corridor, the spire seems more alive. The walls twitch with new pulses. A breath of wind brushes your face, though there are no openings, and it smells unmistakably like ink on ancient paper, freshly written and not yet dry. You are not alone. Standing ahead of you is a tall figure draped in woven threads of starlight and fog. Their skin, if you can call it that, appears like layered nebulae seen through water. They wear no expression, yet you feel observed, measured, translated. This is not an Eontide. This is something older. The being speaks, though their mouth never moves. You have painted. But now you must witness. They turn, and you follow. They lead you through a threshold that wasn't there a moment ago. On the other side is a hanging gallery, a vast open space suspended in air with no visible supports. Gravity forgets itself here. You float slightly, not flying, just disobeying the floor. Below and above you, moving tapestries made of compressed time. Each one swirls and bends like film through a projector made of light and sorrow. You drift toward the nearest tapestry. It shows a civilization crumbling in reverse, a golden city slowly reassembling itself from rubble, then vanishing into an untouched forest. Next to it, another tapestry displays a conversation between two lovers stretched across decades, replayed in infinite variations, angry, joyful, silent, poetic, tired, and always ending with a door that closes. The guide watches you. These are not histories. They are possibility echoes, faint fingerprints of events that nearly happened. Some await adoption, others are hungry. You feel one of the tapestries pull at you. Its colors darken and the scene shifts. A battle among stars, soldiers fighting with words instead of weapons. You see yourself, an unfamiliar version, wearing robes stitched with constellations, delivering a eulogy to a sun. You try to look away, but it holds you. The guide speaks again. This one remembers you. It has not yet been told. You inhale, the air thick with meaning. Then, suddenly, the entire gallery shivers. A faint tremor, then another. The tapestries flicker, some warp. A few tear. The guide straightens. Something approaches. You re-about to ask what when a vibration runs through your bones, like an ancient drumbeat being played inside your skeleton. It isn't painful. It's primordial. As if the timeline you stand on is trying to buckle, the guide places one finger on your forehead. To continue forward, you must anchor backward. They vanish, and the gallery collapses into darkness. You're standing alone now in a white room, perfectly featureless. You can't tell if it's large or small. You hear your own heartbeat, but it's not matching your pulse. On the far wall, words begin to write themselves in glowing ink. This is a memory you never made, but it remembers you anyway. The room begins to fill with a gentle rain. The drops are not wet, but nostalgic. Each one carries a sound: laughter, footsteps, distant thunder, the crinkle of an old photograph. You feel pulled in every direction at once, not physically, but emotionally. Regret, hope, awe, longing. You're being braided into something larger. Then silence. A single tone plays, deep and smooth, vibrating through your chest. When the lights return, you are back in the spire, but you are changed. The air feels softer. Your hands glow faintly, the way morning does. And in the distance, you hear music that knows your name. You follow the music. It winds through the spire like a scent, like memory laced with melody. You don't walk so much as drift. Gravity softening around you as if the building itself is trying to encourage something inside you to awaken. The air thickens, not with pressure, but with awareness. You're not alone, and it's not because of a presence behind you. It's the feeling that you've become a location, a place where something else is happening, where someone or something is looking out from you. You pass through a curved arch that breathes as you near it, inhaling time, exhaling possibility. On the other side, the chamber is vast, spherical, and lit from within by a strange violet glow. You float forward without resistance. And there they are, the Eontide, all of them, suspended across the walls like constellations, their bodies glimmer in soft pulsations. Dozens, now hundreds. each in some posture of creation, hands mid-stroke, thought mid-shape, time mid-pour, yet none of them move. They are paused, held in a single collective moment, waiting. A low thrumming rises. Then you realize it's you who is vibrating. The vial may be empty, but its echo lives in your bones now. You glow at the edges. Your breath leaves trails of translucent light. Something inside you has gone reversible. Then, at the center of the sphere, another presence forms. It is not a figure. It is not a face. It is a convergence. Light, sound, memory, gravity, it all folds inward, and a bloom appears. A flower made of collapsing chronology, its petals made of overlapping centuries. It speaks, but not in words. Instead, the voice enters your bloodstream, rewriting your sense of I. You are no longer only a visitor, you are a channel. You feel your arms raise, not by choice, but by agreement. In your fingers, not paintbrushes, not tools, just intent. Pure, sharpened will. And with that will, you begin to shape. Time itself raw, alive, shimmering with what-ifs streams toward you. You don't command it. You invite it. You reach out, and it folds around your gestures like metal drawn to magnetism. You sculpt. You paint. You unmake, then remake. With a single spiral of your hand, you rewind the weather. With another, you split an old wound from the stone of the spire and let it bloom into birdsong. The Aeontide begin to stir. Slowly, gently, they shimmer in your periphery like approval given form. Your creation is not linear, it is emotional. The artwork you leave behind is felt, not seen. It plays across the surface of the chamber like oil on water, constantly shifting based on the mood of those nearby. It is a portrait of presence, a testament to your having been here. Then the convergence flower speaks again, and this time it feels like standing at the edge of your own origin. You are not becoming one of us, we are becoming one of you. Your heartbeat stumbles. The chamber dims. And then, as softly as snowfall on ash, you are ejected gently but unmistakably through an opening that wasn't there before. You tumble outward, not down, not up, just outward. You land in a field of silver grass that hisses softly, not from wind, but from history being released. Above you, the spire gleams. It is smaller now, or you are larger. The stars blinked in patterns you understand, even if you can't name them. You sit up. Your hands still shimmer faintly, and the world feels less like a location and more like a sensation you relearning how to navigate. You are not alone. Nearby, a group of beings familiar but not sit watching the horizon. One turns to you. You do not speak, but they understand. You have joined the Aeontide, but not as an outsider. You are now a translation. The Aeontide do not speak, not with mouths, not even with symbols. Instead, they arrange reality around meaning. You sit among them, watching the horizon shift not in color, but in tempo. The grass no longer rustles by the wind, but by a rhythm. A slow drumbeat from the planet's heart, pulsing once every minute. The stars above do not twinkle. They nod, each blink a subtle confirmation, a cosmic agreement. One Aeontide near you lifts a hand. Time pauses. Or rather, it hesitates, just long enough for a feeling to bloom. Curiosity wrapped in melancholy. The sensation enters your chest like steam, warming your ribs with questions. Why are they here? How long have they waited? What are they waiting for? Then the answer arrives, not as data, but as rain. It begins falling, soft and shimmering. The droplets never reach the ground. Each one hovers mid-air, flickering with moments. You reach out. A drop touches your palm. Suddenly, you are inside a memory, not yours, not theirs, but the world's. You're standing on a bridge made of bone-white stone. Below, a river flows upward, its surface shimmering with people's first words. A child's laugh, a mother's lullaby, a scientist whispering their first discovery. Around you, travelers walk backward. They do not notice you. but you notice everything. You are witnessing, then you blink, you're back in the field. The Eontide beside you lowers their hand. The rain ends instantly, vanishing like breath on glass. That was a questioning, whispers a voice, not theirs, not yours, but one borrowed from someone who might never be. You realize that this is how they learn, how they remember, how they communicate, by allowing you to experience the shape of their wonder. Another stands, tall, more vivid than the others, their outline outlined in motes of golden probability. They reach toward you not to touch, but to request. You understand immediately. The memory you painted back in the spire, that fragment of light and spiral and storm, it was just the beginning. They wish for more. They believe you can create again, but this time not within the chamber. Here, now, outside. You nod, slowly. The Eontides scatter gracefully, like dancers reversing a performance they've never rehearsed. The sky shifts hue, deeper violets, bands of turquoise slicing across the atmosphere in mathematical spirals. You walk toward the nearest ridge, feet making no sound. There, in the shallow basin below, lies a blank zone, an area where nothing has yet been lived. No memories, no forecasts, no fixed light. It shimmers faintly, like a soap bubble resting on a void. You step into it. The sensation is immediate. Every cell in your body sings with options. Your breath feels uncommitted, as though inhaling possibilities, not oxygen. You kneel, and you remember the words. The vial is not a memory. It is a brush. Your fingers twitch, but there is no vial now. You realize you are the vial. Your choices, your interpretations, your presence. You press your hand to the void. A ripple spreads. Colors emerge not from you, but through you. They borrow your form to enter this plane. A storm brews on one edge. A cradle forms on another. You shape a mountain made of stillness. You carve a sunrise that only sings when no one watches it. You create the first moment this place has ever known. The Eontide reappear around the edge of the basin, watching silently. Then one steps forward and mirrors your gesture. They press their hand to the edge of your creation, a second ripple. Now your memory begins to mix with theirs, shared creation, shared authorship. You are painting together with temporal resonance. From the sky, clock flowers drift down petals shaped like gears, soft and luminescent, each one ticking faintly as it lands on the growing tapestry of now. And when it is complete, you feel it settle inside your bones. You made something permanent, or as permanent as time allows. Night arrives, but not by darkness. Instead, the tempo of everything slows. Colors deepen, not dim. Shadows become more meaningful, their edges growing soft like stories waiting to be told. The sky no longer shines, it breathes, expanding gently with memory and exhaling forgotten futures. You sit at the edge of your creation. It is still changing. The cradle you shape now sings with echoing lullabies that no voice has ever sung. The mountain of stillness hums with resonance whenever someone thinks of something they haven't yet dared to desire. The sky above your work warps in respectful silence, like it's letting your art decide what the weather should mean. An Eontide joins you. You don't look at them. They don't need that. Their presence ripples gently beside yours, like a reflection folding into shared water. They offer you something new. Not an object, a name, not spoken, not shown. You simply know it. It isn't a name you recognize, but it fits like breath, like warmth behind your ribs. It is not a name you use. It is a name the universe might whisper when it dreams of you. The Eontide steps back, and you realize something is coming. You feel it before you see it. The field begins to lose definition. The boundaries of your creation blur, not from erosion, but from pressure. Something outside this moment is pressing inward, like a reality that wants to rewrite the canvas you've just painted. A crack appears in the air, not visual temporal, a fault line in causality. Your fingertips buzz. The Eontide do not panic. They merely rise, lifting their hands toward the fracture. It widens, and through it, light. Not ordinary light, raw narrative light. It spills out like ink from a collapsed idea. It touches the edge of your creation and the mountain quivers. You stand. And for the first time, you feel fear, not of danger, but of undoing. The name you just received pulses inside you. You know what's happening. This is a tension bloom, a rupture in time, formed when two unresolved futures try to occupy the same space. Rare, unstable, hungry. The Eontide cannot fix it alone, but you are not entirely Eontide. You step forward. The light floods toward you, but your presence redirects it. Instead of burning, it bends. Instead of devouring, it hesitates. You raise your hand. The painted sky behind you bends in reply. Your artwork comes to life, not animated, not possessed, but active. Your cradle of songs rises like mist, surrounding the rupture with soft tones of memory. The mountain of stillness anchors the field. The crack spasms. You speak not with words, but with memory. You offer the rupture a moment it can erase, the first time you felt belonging. The light shrinks, then folds. The crack closes, leaving behind only a shimmer. Silence returns. And the Eontide lower their hands. They do not applaud. But they turn to you, each offering the faintest gesture, a subtle tilt of the head, a vibration of the shoulders, a stillness that feels like praise. You sit again. The name within you feels stronger now. You wonder for a moment if the spire can see you from here, and you almost hear it hum in reply. The name given to you hums now, not in your ears, but in your decisions. Each motion you make, each breath, each blink, feels gently annotated by it. Not controlled, not bound, just known, like your presence is now part of the grammar of this place. And every act you take is a sentence being added to its language. The Eontide disperse slowly after the rupture fades, melting back into the wider landscape like ink returning to water. You remain behind, not because you're unwelcome, but because you're anchored. Your creation still vibrates slightly beneath your feet, as if it too remembers being nearly undone. You walk again, but you don't return to the spire, not yet. Instead, you follow a path you did not notice before, one that seems to have emerged from the bloom of the temporal fracture. It winds gently through soft crystalline groves where every branch drips with paused rain. The droplets hang in midair, humming. You brush one with your finger, and it whispers a number in an extinct language. You pass a stone structure shaped like a spiral fossil. Inside, without walls or ceiling, sits a mirror. You approach. It doesn't reflect your image. It reflects your narrative position. You see not what you look like, but what role you're currently fulfilling in the surrounding chronology. At this moment, the mirror shows you as a ripple in glass. Subtle, disruptive, necessary. A plaque beneath it reads, "Only those who forget their abyss long enough to become part of the world are trusted with its rewriting." You blink. The mirror blinks back. You continue on, the terrain growing weirder, not hostile, just more opinionated. A field of tall silver reeds begins to sing as you pass, their harmonics tuned to the rhythms of your heartbeat. A pond beside the trail ripples only when you don't look at it. Every so often, a strange, inverted rainbow arches underground instead of skyward. Eventually, you reach a rise. At the top, the land opens into what can only be called a temporal delta, a place where multiple timelines once forked, clashed, or converged. Now it is still. You see the remnants, ghost structures halfway through collapse and rebirth, fossilized moments embedded in stone. And in the middle stands a monolith, black, glossy, tall as memory. Around it, time painter's marks. Glyphs burned into soil, scored into bark, etched into orbiting stones. Each mark a piece of unfinished story. Some are so fresh they weep. Your hands begin to tingle again, not with magic, with invitation. This is a place of convergence, of recursion, of return. The Aeon Tide do not tell you what to do, because they don't know, because this is your moment, your page, your brushstroke. You step to the monolith and touch its base. The surface ripples like deep water. A menu of possibilities floods your mind, not choices, not futures, but tones. The monolith is asking, what will your next act feel like? You select one, graceful unraveling. Instantly, the ground beneath you blooms into light. Your feet lift, just slightly. The wind remembers a song from a culture that never survived and hums it back to the air. You begin to float, not upward, but into a corridor of recurrence. Here, the world loops, not repeating, reweaving. You see fragments of what has been, what might be, and what never deserved to be. A lover who never met you, a failure that turned into someone else's masterpiece. A tear in your coat stitched shut by someone who never existed, and at the center of it all, you, standing quietly in a field that remembers everything. And finally, for the first time, you do too. You do not wake, but you begin to emerge. The corridor of recurrence fades like breath on glass, and you find yourself standing at the edge of a field of possible silence, the kind of stillness that hums just beneath the threshold of thought. Your hands remain warm, not with heat, but with echo. The traces of everything you've touched, felt, and uncreated still pulse faintly in your skin, like memory folded into muscle. Something stirs beside you. A figure neither Aeon-tide nor human, but something threaded between is watching. Their outline shifts constantly, one moment feathered, the next skeletal, then floral, then simply gone. You do not ask who they are. The question itself would be too narrow. They nod toward the field. This is where we keep the unborn truths. The field is vast, blank, but if you look too long, your eyes begin to construct stories from nothing. Shapes rise, patterns form. You look away, and they vanish. You look again, and they're different. These are not illusions. These are narrative seeds, moments that might exist if someone someday needs them. You walk slowly through them. Each step brings a near memory, the smile of a sibling you never had, the scent of a city that mourns in rhythm, the taste of an apology whispered through starlight. Your thoughts blur, not because you're forgetting, but because you're blending. The figure beside you speaks again. Some truths must not be born until the world is ready to regret them. You feel that deeply, and you wonder what truths about you have not yet arrived. The path curves downward now, into a structure partially submerged in soil and meaning. It is not architecture, it is a consequence. A building shaped by someone's choice, long ago, to wait instead of act. Inside walls breathe. Floors change depending on your doubts. A staircase descends only when you believe it shouldn't. You reach the bottom. There in the center of the chamber is a mirror. Not like the earlier one. This one is made of unfinished time rippling, unstable, trembling with potential. It shows you not who you are, but what you almost became. You see yourself older, quieter, living among nonverbal stars. Yourself erased from every history, but still echoing in birdsong. Yourself never having left your home world, but dreaming this very moment every night in a forgotten bed. You step closer. The mirror offers you a choice, not to change who you are, but to absorb who you could have been. Not to discard your path, but to enrich it with alternate gravity. You reach out. Your hand touches not glass, but possibility. It pours into you gently. Not like a flood, but like mist curling into your breath. You feel new weight behind your memories. A different shadow beneath each joy. A new voice in your dreams, whispering not answers, but better questions. The figure places a hand on your shoulder. You are not singular. You are plural made coherent. Then they are gone, and the room is silent. Not empty dash, just dot complete. When you climb the stairs again, they are no longer made of stone. They are made of things you've almost done. They are firm. Above, the sky has changed again. It is no longer counting hours. It is counting you. The sky pulses once as if acknowledging you. It does not thunder. It simply nods in wavelength, vibrating the horizon in a single warm wave of affirmation. You feel it in your ribs, in your teeth, in the quiet spaces between your thoughts. A path emerges not drawn, but suggested through the waving field of silver memories. You follow it without question because by now, questions feel more like punctuation than necessity. You're being led, but not by anyone outside you, by your own echo. You begin to notice the air shimmering faintly ahead. The shimmer isn't light. Its density of meaning, as if so many overlapping truths have gathered in one place that even the wind hesitates to disturb them. This is the edge of a phenomenon known only to the Eontide as the non-born room. It has no structure, no boundary, just a shimmering awareness, a persistent invitation from time itself. You step in, and the universe waits. There's no sensation of motion, yet everything inside you feels pulled. You do not float, but you are unmoored. The non-born room is where the unborn dwell, not in the biological sense, but the temporal one. Here are stories not yet written, lives not yet begun, regrets not yet regretted. You look around, and you see them. Entities flicker in and out of your awareness. They are not fully formed. Each is a silhouette stitched from intention. Some walk backward. Some hum to themselves in chords that haven't yet been invented. Others reach toward you, not to greet, but to anchor. And one of them recognizes you. You freeze. It's you, but not quite. This version of you feels paused, a fork in the path, a divergence waiting for selection. Their eyes meet yours, and neither of you flinch. They do not speak. They merely offer you a shard of time, hovering between their fingers. You take it. It's warm and pulsing with events that haven't happened. When you blink, you're somewhere else. Standing in a city built from memory dust and golden regret. Towers made of laughter, streets paved in rewritten apologies. The sky hums with storms that rain premonition. People walk past you, carrying moments instead of objects. Some greet you in languages you don't know but understand. You're not invisible here. You're not out of place. You're just ... early. The shard pulses again, and you return to the non-born room. The alternate you is gone, but the gift remains. You look down, and the shard is gone, absorbed. Your timeline feels heavier now, enriched with nuance. There is an ache behind your thoughts, the way one might feel nostalgia for a conversation that never happened. From the periphery, the Eontide arrive. They do not enter the room. They stand at its threshold, respectful. This place is yours now. Not owned, not possessed, but carried. You walk slowly out, your body humming with borrowed futures. One Eontide touches your temple briefly. The stories you now contain will seek listeners. You nod. You feel full, yet incomplete, radiant, yet hollow. Like a lantern not yet lit, the sky pulses again, but this time it sings. And in that melody, you hear your own silence finding its shape. You don't remember walking, but now you are somewhere else. The terrain is vast and delicate, as if the landscape itself were drawn in soft pencil, easily erased. Around you, the air shimmers with timelines that have no witnesses. You step carefully, not from fear, but from respect. A voice echoes softly inside your thoughts, not spoken aloud, not belonging to anyone. All stories long to be noticed. Ahead, a library unfolds, not a building, but a cloud of preserved memory. Books hover like constellations. Scrolls whisper along magnetic lines, curling around each other in dances of deferred discovery. Data fragments sing in hexagonal tones, self-archiving as they move. This is the archive of noticing. Every truth that was briefly glimpsed. Every pattern in the universe nearly understood. Every heartbeat that someone almost translated into music, you are allowed to browse. You pass a glowing thread titled "The Planet That Cried Once and Healed the Moon." A floating prism pulses with the thought that made its thinker vanish. A transparent seed spins endlessly, tagged an emotion that refused to fade. You're drawn to a dark corner of the archive, less visited, more complicated. Here, the memories are heavier. Some carry warnings. Others blur when approached, as if unsure whether they want to be known. You find one shaped like a cloak. When you touch it, it wraps around you, and you remember something you never lived. A planet where time loops every 37 hours. A lover with no name who always meets you at the same hour, forgetting each time. A betrayal made lovingly to protect you from the consequences of knowing too much. You stagger. The cloak falls away. The memory is gone, but the feeling remains. You look around and realize something else. You're being watched, not by the Eontide, not by beings at all, by the archive itself. It wants to be known. It wants to be shared, and is starting to wonder if you are its way out. From the center of the library, a single thread floats toward you. It pulses with potential. You reach out. The thread unspools, winding into a helix of symbols that nestle into your chest. Not invasive, not alien, just ... familiar. The library dims. You are being gently dismissed, not rejected, not expelled, but given the soft nudge of purpose. As you turn to go, the voice returns. You have borrowed truths. Do not forget to return wonder. You smile, unsure if it's your own. The ground beneath you reforms into a path. And this time, you are not walking toward the future. The future is walking toward you. The path ahead widens, not with direction, but with possibility. You are no longer just following something. You are being followed too, not by footsteps, but by resonance. The stories you've touched, the memories you've inhaled, they now trail behind you like a vapor of unfinished music. You hum without realizing. It's not a tune, you know. It's a signal to something ancient, something watching. The air thickens, not with fog, but with attention. You arrive at a clearing where time folds softly, as if caught in deep breath. There's a pond here, though it doesn't reflect your face. It reflects other yous, from pasts never chosen. From futures postponed, some look back, some weep, one winks. A nearby plaque reads, "Do not disturb the waters unless prepared to absorb 1,000 simultaneous regrets." You sit by the edge. You don't disturb it. You just listen. There's a faint sound. At first, you think it's wind, but no, it's editing. Time rearranging itself. Somewhere in the quantum hush of this place, something is rewriting a truth. And then laughter, children's laughter. You stand. It's coming from the trees. You follow slowly and come upon a group of small beings, neither human nor alien, yet familiar. They look like chalk sketches given breath. They dance in spirals, their fingers drawing symbols mid-air that remain suspended in glimmering strands. They're playing with stories, building and unbuilding. They see you and freeze. One approaches. Its eyes are infinite and kind. Are you the new rememberer? You pause, then nod, because, yes, somehow, that fits now. The childlike creature claps, delighted. Around you, the others resume their playwriting alternate endings to myths, spinning tragedies into lullabies, collapsing epic wars into a single whispered sentence. But what if they had forgiven? You join them. You're not instructed. You just ... begin. At first you draw a spiral, then a question mark, then a doorway. One of the children giggles. You've invented something new, a myth gap. A deliberate moment of narrative uncertainty left inside a story to invite the next reader's imagination. They love it. You're laughing now too. But underneath it, something shifts, a resonance deep in the bones of time. The children stop. They look to the sky. So do you. There is a new shape there, not star, not cloud. A punctuation in the cosmos, a full stop. The world around you begins to grow quieter, not dimmer, just dot, dot, dot softer. You hear your own breath for the first time in what feels like centuries. And for once, you don't need to understand anything. You just feel ready. The stars lean closer, not physically, but perceptually, as though the cosmos itself wants to whisper one last thing into the shell of your mind before sleep takes you. You feel it like a breath down the spine of reality. You're alone again, but only in the comforting sense. You walk a final corridor, long and quiet, paved with soundless footsteps from those who came before. The walls are stitched with memories that never needed witnesses. Every few paces, a soft bell chimes, not to mark time, but to bless its passing. At the end of the corridor waits a door. Not mechanical, organic. It opens not when you reach it, but when you accept it. Inside is the sanctum of last questions. A small chamber, a single chair, a dim light above, swaying with the rhythm of unseen tides. You sit, the walls breathe, the air hums, and in front of you, a mirror, the final mirror. It shows not your face, not your past, not your possibilities, but your pattern, a glimmering matrix of your essence. Every moment you've lived, unlived, dreamed, dismissed, remembered. All of it in one soft, unthreatening spiral. And at the center of it, one question waiting patiently. It doesn't appear in words. It is a word. The one you've been circling all this time. The word is when, not why. Not how. Just when. You smile because you finally understand. The question isn't about a moment. It's about a readiness. You close your eyes and you are the answer. The light dims further. The air softens to the texture of thought. Time stops asking. It starts listening. You feel your thoughts unfurl, slowly, like petals opening under a moon that only exists in memory. The chair beneath you dissolves, not into nothing, but into comfort. The kind of comfort that doesn't touch the body, only the soul. All around you, the chamber breathes in silence, soft and wide. As if the universe is exhaling and letting you go. There is no cold. There is no weight. Just the texture of surrender. Your heartbeat fades into something slower than rhythm, steadier than time. You drift within it, the way stardust drifts through nebulae, gracefully, aimlessly, whole. Far beyond the chamber, the Aeon-tide begin their long slumber songs, their voices curling through the cosmos like lullabies sculpted from light. You cannot hear the words, but you understand them in your bones. Sleep. Let the stars continue their work. Let the unpainted timelines rest in your dreams. Let the stories settle. Let the question be. A soft light pulses once on the horizon of thought, then fades. You are not watching anymore. You are not remembering. You are not becoming. You are still. You are safe. You are elsewhere now, where stories end and peace begins.